Being that it's 9 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order and we'll start with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have the agenda before us here for approval. Is there any additions or corrections or? And I also assume the closed session will be moved towards the back of the meeting, end of the meeting? Yep, okay.
Move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approval of the previous minutes from May 6th, our regular meeting. Is there any additions, corrections to those minutes?
So moved.
Being none, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes from our May 13th work group session. Any additions or corrections to those? Is there a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Public comment. Is there anybody that would like to make a public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none. We'll move on to, consent agenda. We have 7 items, I believe, on the consent agenda. Any questions on those? Greg, I know you had one on the,
About the casual jury attendant, but
yep,
Kurt explained it to me.
okay. What was your explanation there?
I explained that they attend to the jury
Yep,
and they will, if the jury has questions or stuff, they'll run it back over. They also attend with, if they're a long jury session, if they needed meals, they would help with that kind of stuff.
okay. All right,
Are you good now?
yeah, I just want,
That's fine. All right, perfect.
On number 7, was that a grant that you applied for?
I'm sorry, say again.
On number 7, you applied for that grant?
Correct.
That was nice to receive.
Good job.
All we can get.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as written.
is there a second?
Second.
I just want to point out too on number 4, the resignation of Lori Feldmeyer. Her service of 21 years with the county, she's been really good. A lot of families had a lot of contact and worked with her on a lot of stuff, so it was good to have her at the county. So thank her for her
Yes.
service.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Action items. Number 1 is consider awarding Minoa Construction for SAP 028-599-101 for a bridge replacement on Oakland Drive in Wilmington Township at the amount of $629,999.99.
Yes,
Can we just round that up 1 penny?
that is not their bid. Yeah, yep, so as Commissioner Johnson said, so we received bids for the Oakland Drive project. There was 3 bids. Minoa Construction was the low bid at $629,999.99. They have done quite a few bridge replacement projects for the county in the past. They do a good job, and my recommendation is to award the contract to Minoa.
When do they plan on doing it?
We don't have a schedule from them yet.
She'll be closed down. They'll have to go out the other ways.
Yeah, it'll need to be, shut down. This is a full-blown bridge replacement, so it'll be, potentially 3-4 months of closure.
Make sure you contact that elderly lady down there, Mona, so she knows when it's gonna take place, cause she gets a little jumpy once in a while.
Okay.
This one of the, getting towards the end of the last of the bridges, or?
This is our last actual, what you can think of as a conventional bridge structure that we have that's sound deficient for us. The rest of them are small bridges that'll be box culverts going in.
Yep.
So you have the actual bridges, this is it. So, this is a bridge that's on a trout stream. There's some additional work that the DNR is having us do, taking out an old abutment from the previous bridge that's down there. So there's some additional work in the water that we're gonna be doing. But it'll be a good project to get this bridge off. This bridge it's a steel bridge. The existing bridge has, the steel's welded, butt joints on them, which isn't, a good design. So we're gonna be, getting,
How old is this bridge? It's been pretty good so far, I mean.
Took a few floods too, it has to.
it has been a solid bridge. I don't have the actual.
That's fine, that's fine.
It's 12 years old. It's young.
So,
No,
so you're taking out the old abutment from the previous old bridge?
From the previous
Hey, why don't
bridge.
you take that out, huh?
Yes. Yep, and we really pushed back on them quite a bit on the one, because the one is up against a steep slope, bottom of a hill.
Just leave it.
And we wanted it to stay in there, so instead it's gonna be coming out and we'll have riprap on that, and
Is that part of the bid, Brian?
yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the bid.
Is there a second?
yep.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Alrighty. Number 2, consider accepting LBRP funds for the same bridge that we just discussed. Same amount with 539,000 of 04471 being covered by local bridge replacement program.
Yeah, so this is the grant agreement that goes along with that bridge that was just approved. So this has, $539,044.71 of local bridge replacement program funding. That state determines that as kind of like a discretionary grant for counties or townships for these projects. And then the remainder of the funding will come out of, there'd be 20,000 for Wilmington Township, and then the remainder, 90,000 or 70,000 would be out of the town bridge account funds. So there's 20,000 local funds, a little over 70,000 of town bridge funds, and then the remainder is the state bridge grant.
So it's fully funded.
Well, I mean, everything, the funding is all covered by the township and then these other two sources, so.
Chip is 20,000
20,
and the
right,
rest is.
20,000 to the township, yep.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
Is there a second?
Okay,
That's the second from Kurt. Commissioner Zender, I should say.
it's fine either way.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Moving on to number 3, consider approving a purchase of a used pressure washer.
Yeah, so this is an item that we didn't or don't specifically have this in our budget for 2025. But what we do in our budget is we rent a pressure washer to help. Before we do flood sealing on bridge decks, we need to flush off all the any type of sediment that's on that bridge deck. If there's any type of growth on the concrete, we need to get all that stuff power washed off. So we typically rent a pressure washer. We spend anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000 a year on renting equipment to help us with these deck sealing projects. So we were planning on spending, anywhere from $2,500 to $4,000 this year on that. When we reached out to rent the pressure washer, the company told us that they have a used pressure washer, has 28 hours on it, that the MSRP price is about $23,000. When you look online, you can see they sell them new for about $15,000 to $16,000. They would sell it to us for $8,500, and if we trade in our old Hot Sea pressure washer that we have over at it's been sitting over at Spring Grove. It's I believe it's a 2000 year Hot Sea, so it's a 25-year-old pressure washer over there. We trade that in. They give us $1,000 for that, so the net difference is $7,500. So we've tried using our other pressure washer, this Hot Sea, in the field with us with a generator, the biggest generator that we have at the highway department. That generator isn't sufficient for the Hot Sea, and the Hot Sea still doesn't have the pressure that we need to really do a good job out there in the field. So that's why we've been renting stuff in the past. So even though this wasn't the budget for this year, we think we can make some adjustments so we don't go over on this year's budget, and then within 2 or 3 years' time, we're money ahead by having this ourselves instead of renting.
You normally spend 4,000 or 5,000 renting per year?
Anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000, yes. And out of that, we,
Years it's paid?
$250 a day. That's 3 weeks worth of having it. Some days that weather might be good. Some days the weather's
Yeah, that's the
not
problem.
not
It's
so
kind of a
good.
pain to rent, because then you're obligated to use it and get it done, and
Well,
then
if you break it, you gotta fix it too.
got a
don't you?
you got a time frame to work it in. This way you could do it on your own, at your own time frame, and
They want it back on weekends, so you get it on Monday, you return it on Friday, you get it the next Monday, you have to return it here, you're going back and
Where did you
forth.
rent them from, Brian?
the same place here,
The person's out of,
Lumen Prairie.
so this, so you,
Oh, different.
yeah, so we'll buy it from Express Pressure Washer. The guy that we get it from, the unit's usually stored over by Mabel.
Okay, but you still have man hours to go over
Go
and
back.
get it, bring it back,
Correct.
go over and drop it off.
Yep, so twice a week we need to go back
So
and
really it'll
forth,
pay for
so.
itself and
Much more cost
Yeah,
effective.
I
Yep.
figured 2 years we're break even. On year 3, we're ahead. The other advantage is that we have this year round, so whenever we have issues throughout the year, if we want to use it for anything, we have it. Rather than saying, you know what, we're gonna wait till next year to deal with this, or we're gonna use our, fill up our water truck and just flush it by a large volume of water instead of putting some pressure on it, so.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and purchase that.
Second,
Any further discussion?
a
I mean,
great
it's
opportunity.
a good deal. I mean, to use a pressure washer at 23 hours for half
It's
the
something
price.
that's mounted on a trailer then, and it has water
Yep.
on there too? a
Yeah,
tank?
we put it on a trailer, and then we have a couple large tanks of water, so we, we'll have about 500 gallons worth of water out there in the field with us, and it uses 5 gallons per minute, so.
So everything will be on a trailer, you just hook up to the trailer, go down, wash the bridge and
Yep,
back home.
yep, and then when we're done using, we take it off the trailer and we use that trailer for our UTV that we use for surveying.
So where would you leave it, like up at Spring Grove, so they could wash trucks up there?
That's probably where it'll be stored during the off, yep.
Actually, we'd help out, we'd have washing station here and up there then.
Correct.
Good idea.
Sounds like a great opportunity, and thank you for seeking something slightly used rather than new at a higher expense.
I agree.
28 hours on it, I mean,
Yeah,
it's brand new.
slightly new, yeah.
All right,
I mean, it saves us money.
Yeah, it would.
being no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Number 4, consider accepting donations to the Extension Testmers Farm Safety Day for a total of $2,050. I believe there's a list in here of people that donated, or am I wrong on that? Anyway,
Sounds good.
yeah, there is a list. Is
I'll make a motion to accept it.
there a second?
Second. This donation received.
Any further discussion? I think there's, Devoyne Cruz, American Legion, Post 249, Septic Pros, Caledonia Vet, Noah Fensky, and Nethercutt Schreiber, PA.
great. It's much appreciated.
Yep, it's good, good event.
Awesome.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Number 5, consider discussing request to make a county ordinance for special use vehicles. Sheriff Swetberg.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
You should have received in your packet the proposed ordinance that we came up with for the special use vehicles. The reason I'm asking for this is that the state law does allow counties and cities to make ordinances themselves to regulate special use vehicles, which would include side-by-sides, four-wheelers, golf carts, even mini trucks. That statute number is 169.045. I'm asking this because side-by-sides are becoming a big thing throughout the area, throughout the country, actually, especially since our area is very hit and miss on snowfall for snowmobiles. A lot more people are doing side-by-side riding. And it's a growing thing. So we did talk, this is the ordinance we came up with. I would like to get you guys approve that and also move forward with having a hearing, a public input.
We'd have to have a public hearing to adopt it.
Correct. And I'm requesting that maybe be June 17th at 8:30. And then we could have the vote after that.
Is that a regular meeting? So we're gonna,
It is the third weekend, I believe.
it's the what?
Third Tuesday.
Third Tuesday, so you want it before 9 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning?
That'd be the easiest, I believe, unless you'd prefer something
We
different.
just say 9 or?
They would just adjourn to public hearing and then come back from the public hearing.
Yeah, we can have it during the meeting, so we can just adjourn from our regular meeting and then have our public hearing.
Okay.
And then reconvene to our regular meeting
Right.
to act on a possible action. So is there any question on this?
I will be
You won't be here?
Pequot Lakes.
Huh?
I'll be in Pequot Lakes.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I don't know
Is our
about the date.
ordinance gonna
But I-
interfere,
I review the
contradict with
ordinance
this
and
or
I-
anything?
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
How is our ordinance that you're proposing here?
I will.
Will
Brad and I talked on the phone.
how's that gonna correlate with this?
That follows the ordinance, the DNR regulations. And this ordinance is very close to Winona County's ordinance and also close with Fillmore County ordinance. So we don't have much issues with people, local people having issues between the counties.
Myself and Commissioner Scholl reviewed it with Sheriff Swedberg. And I will not speak for you, but I am in favor of this because of the way the city has ours also. It has worked out very well, and I think it's a good idea. It helps regulate things in a positive, I mean, the tourism part of it is what I'm excited about because a lot of people do come here with their side-by-sides, and it's gonna get more. So I
Correct.
like your ordinance.
Thank you. Even a couple weeks ago, we had the sheriff's office posse ride, and we had several hundred people come from that from all over the area.
So,
There's verbiage in that ordinance about registering of it, and I had some question when we had our work group meeting on that. Do you want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Correct. I'm asking for the sheriff's office to regulate the permit, issue the permit, and review them. I checked with other counties around the area, and that's mostly how they do it. The sheriff's office to issue and take care of the permitting. It makes easier sense also because if someone doesn't have a permit on their special use vehicle, they're gonna radio dispatch to check and see if the permit is there or not, instead of having a different department in the county.
So if we adopt this ordinance, the residents of the county are gonna have to get a permit from the county,
Correct.
let alone their permits from the state.
Correct.
they need both.
They need both.
Yep.
This will be another permit that they will have to apply for.
Correct. The statute does say that it has to be a permit, if you do have an ordinance on it.
Okay.
And there's a discretion of the board about the permit fee. There's no, other counties range from $1 amount to even free for the permits.
What's Fillmore, Winona doing?
Winona does have a fee for it. I can't tell you, it's at maybe
They do a fee for
$25.
everything over there, but I mean,
I'm
City
sorry.
of Caledonia has a local vendor make up yearly stickers for the side-by-sides. They're $25, and we have never had anybody backlash or pushback on having that sticker. So, we're doing that to not make a it's not a big revenue income for it, but it's easy for us to regulate then who spends a lot of time on their special vehicles in town, and it's a pretty reasonable fee.
Statute only allows the permits be issued a maximum of 3 years. That ordinance ad is renewed every 3 years. That's the max that the state law allows us to do.
Some of these dairy farms got 3 and 4 of these things running around there. Do they all gotta have this stamp on them then?
Correct. State law requires them to have registration with the state no matter what. And the county ordinance would also then have them, if they want to be on the county roads,
so
have permit also.
like in that situation Greg brings up, the farmer has an ag permit to go from farm to farm.
Correct.
They would still have to have this county thing to do that?
That, I believe, supersedes.
All right.
The ag permit would supersede the county one
Correct.
because it's used for
Okay, so then,
ag use. This is
so you wouldn't
recreational.
need it, so you wouldn't need it then?
No, if he wanted to go from farm to farm, if he wanted to go just on county road,
If he has an ag exempt permit,
yes.
he would not need to get a county permit.
And he's using it for ag purposes,
Right.
correct.
So not on county roads? Then not be driven on county roads, or how do you
For the
distinguish
ag
that?
permit, ag permits, gives a lot
It's
more,
specific.
They allow it.
yeah, they allow a lot more just because it's
Okay.
farming use.
So if he
So-
wants, so if he designated one of these side-by-sides just to go trail riding, he'd have to get that stamp to go trail riding.
From my understanding, the state has a ag permit for side-by-sides. So they actually have the ag permit.
You have to have that
Sticker, it's-
anyway.
I got one on mine
Yeah.
to go farm to farm, yeah. But if I wanna go tool around on your,
Trails.
On the county roads,
a ride for a benefit or something, then I would have to have a county permit.
correct. And I can't say for sure about I don't know about the ag permit allowing that for the state.
Well, wouldn't be illegal.
Right.
No, it's specific for farm use.
Right.
Yeah, to go to farm, yeah.
So then you'll still be on county or township roads no matter what. I mean, farm to farm, so.
So what kind of fee were you thinking?
At, the ordinance right here says, if we make it effective next month, there wouldn't be a fee for it until the beginning of the year, and then it'd be discretion of the board. I believe that it should be very minimal. I think we pay enough fees and taxes, but the county shouldn't have to pay for people to get the sticker. They should pay for their own sticker, so I think it should be nominal.
So does
3
that
years?
3-year start this year or next year? When they'd have to get the permit?
This year.
So they don't have any, okay.
Correct. So if you guys allow, or
Adopted.
adopt the ordinance, and 2 weeks later, someone gets a permit, there's no charge for it. Since we don't have a fee for it yet, and the county board has to go through their fees to adopt that. But there's nothing in the state law that says that you can't make it 0 if you want to make it 0.
So then they'd have till the end of the year, it wouldn't cost them nothing, and then at the end of the year, then they gotta pay for it.
Then it's your discretion on what charge you want to make.
Well, it should be charged enough to pay for the sticker itself. That's what you're looking at,
There's gonna be time for, somebody's gotta sit there and do this, too.
right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, the city of Caledonia is $25. Nobody complains about it. People, we have farmers that come to town for lunch with their side-by-sides, and they come in and get a sticker. So,
And that's 3 years at a time, or
we do 1 year at a time.
1 year at a time?
But yes, you can go up to 3 years. We just chose 1 year because it was simpler.
And my plan on that was to have it online also available, so people could submit it online and also upload their insurance information. And that would be their temporary permit until the time we would be able to send their permit out. So if they did get stopped in between time, they'd have that, be able to print out and show that.
And there's costs for credit card charges or anything like that if you're going to do it online.
Yes, that'd be,
So my question on this, and obviously, yes, we have to have a public hearing, and I think that's definitely necessary with this whole situation because, there's going to be another side to it.
Sure.
And, whenever a minority, we do something on behalf of a small minority, that affects the majority of drivers that are driving down the road, and they have to deal with these vehicles on the road. I think that we definitely need that input. I'd also like to know, just because of the classification, the difference in the classifications and the rules, state statutes, and then if we adopt something locally, I think we need some education for residents as far as, what is this, what is it not? Some things are laid out in the ordinance as far as golf carts and, that classification, or the other UTV special use vehicles side by side. So we have some discussion with this prior to that the public ordinance discussion and public input, because I think people have to know what, what we're doing, what we're saying is allowed. But, I'm just saying that I'd also be very curious if all law enforcement in the local area supports this. And, because there is some extra effort that has to take place possibly enforcing this, once you put a permit on something or, once you allow that. And it sounds like there's a lot of experience with like Houston and Caledonia, at least having this in town. So cities might have to adopt their own ordinance that whether that meets the requirements or not as well, because it's county roads that we're approving, that this would be okay.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing that, if we adopt this ordinance, you're gonna have another ordinance that you're gonna have to go out and patrol and enforce, correct?
correct. The state law allows it, and there's some, it's very vague or pointing both directions, so this clarifies it for people. It's sometimes hard to read the statutes and give people a correct answer, and this really helps it.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and and I have the state statute in front of me, and this is for, this classification that allows, it does allow, the state does allow for county, city, or towns to develop their own ordinance to operate the vehicle, but there's gonna be some restrictions as far as non-licensed driver, the age,
Yep.
what's happening.
The ordinance does have that in there.
Yep.
And also the statutes still apply also.
So I'm just saying that a lot of times when
It's in there.
a new ordinance or new laws are enacted in the area, people might have some questions because it's like, yep, I'm 12, I can go out and drive this. Well, no, there's stipulations around that. So that's the education or that I'm asking about, and just to
Those
make sure
questions
that
They can
clear.
be brought up at the public comment.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That's where that should be brought up.
And, myself, I mean, I drive a Polaris Ranger several times a week. I have for many years, but on the appropriate roads and trails that it was made for. So I think that there's some questions from people that use it like I do, and in my area as far as, is this necessary and why are we doing it? So answering those why questions, especially with tourism and, and definitely economy of use, because they are pretty cheap to run around in rather than a vehicle. I think all of those things need to be addressed, as well as the safety concerns. Because that's, if they're going, up to 45 miles an hour on a road, on a county highway, that can present a hazard for, just like other vehicles on the road.
Or everything,
Yeah.
potentially be a hazard.
Right. So I'm just voicing my concerns, like I said, that we have all this laid out, and people actually know what we're talking about within that ordinance if we discuss it publicly further.
Sure. I believe all the cities in the county have an ordinance, that I know of. All of them do allow it, except for La Crescent. La Crescent's having discussion with several people or a group of people about changing that. I don't know where that's at right now. I know there's still discussion about it. So,
Well, I mean, if it's restricted to county roads within the
right,
city of La Crescent or, within that area,
Right.
that's part of their own ordinance. But I'm just saying that, I would just want to look at it from all sides and
Correct.
have people understand. Because I've also been asked, well, why do people need to drive that vehicle to that location? Can't they have that vehicle on their farm and drive to the farm rather than drive it from their home?
Just
Sure.
about all that's addressed in the DNRs.
Yes.
it says
Well,
recreational
and this-
vehicle though.
this is our
It's just like a boat.
education.
It's,
Yeah.
they're out to have a good time. On the side by side where they go down the county roads, a lot of them, some go for purposes, but a lot of goes just for fun. And you also gotta look at, the growth of the economy for business in the county. We have one just outside the county in Rushford. We have a small, engine place in Brownsville that deals with side by sides, four-wheelers, jet
Heights
skis. Heights and also, and multiple businesses. I mean, I've talked to the Spring Grove City Administrator many times about this and the town really grows from
Well, the
allowing that.
maintenance, I mean, it's, not all of us have a trailer to put the
Yeah.
ATV on to drag it in for an oil
Nowadays,
change.
these UTVs are, they're like a pickup. I mean, they got turn signals, they got the mirrors, and which you're gonna have to require to have.
Correct.
You gotta
It's-
have rear view mirror, you gotta have turn signals.
It's in the ordinance.
Yep, it's an ordinance statute. Yeah, there's some that are over $45,000.
I know it's crazy. I'd rather buy a used truck, but whatever.
Yeah. But people are really enjoying this. That's why they're spending the money to have this type of enjoyment. And I guess that's what the country's about also is freedom.
So I was just looking at this registration fee and this OH fee. Well, maybe you guys can explain this to me, but there's a registration fee of $60 and an issuing fee of $850,
Like
which is, so you pay,
administrative fee.
so it's $60 plus $850?
6850.
Yeah, okay.
That's why keeping the ordinance, or in the ordinance, having our sticker reasonable.
Of $25 one
Or
shot.
less.
Well, that's every, so that's $75 for 3 years for you guys if we were doing a 3-year deal.
Yes.
All right,
So, right now, you can ride on all the gravel roads and like these rides you were talking about, fundraisers, they start in town and they go up and down all these hills and all over. Is there problems with that or do we need to fix something there or? I
No,
mean,
there's just some gray areas, in the statute that, are confusing. And sometimes the attorneys want to give an opinion. They want the judge to make a decision on it.
But, I mean, the city's all got their regulations and they're all happy with the way they're doing their stuff. I mean, so why should we create more work for our county by doing this? I mean, every farmer's gotta come in and get that taken care of. I mean, we have no problems, so if it ain't broken, why are we trying to fix it?
Because there is some issue with people the statute being gray and thinking that like side-by-sides can't be ridden on the county roads at certain times of the year. But there's other state laws that said they can. So
You're
they
a
kind
farmer?
of contradict each other, and that's what this would clear up.
plus our county attorney's office has issued too.
Yeah, they have reviewed this and they approved it.
This is not going to create like a whole boatload of extra work. This stuff's been going on. People have been writing these things. All this ordinance is gonna do is just clean up the gray areas and it makes it easier for people. And again, for those that have them and the people that I know, and I look at all these different rides that people do and the benefit that it does bring to all it is helping with creating more recreational fun. I mean, our county is full of fun things to do. And the beauty of, and believe me, if you ever been on one of these rides and to stop on a bluff and overlook the river for 30 miles away is beautiful. All this ordinance is gonna do is just simplify things. It's not recreating the wheel, it's just like we did in Caledonia, we simplified it so that takes away the little bit of a problem that we had. And we haven't had a ton of extra time spent with my police officers, enforcing it, because once it's set, we don't have a lot of issues. It just simplifies things.
So like these trail rides, then do we have to have an officer go down there and check all these or not?
No, we're not. Just like car rides, we don't go check, look at the cars or motorcycle
I
rides.
mean, we got all these laws and it's fine. I have no problem with it.
I feel like this is more of a freedom than a law to regulate it. They're allowing to
It's
do it.
allowing more than it's taking away, and it's not taking away anything for that matter, so.
Right, and we are,
Those that are using the vehicles, that's my point too. I mean, it's a group, just like those that ride motorcycles or those, that want to do that.
Snowmobiles are
Yes.
smaller, believe it or not, are a smaller group.
Not everybody, but there's drivers that are affected by this, is my point.
and I believe one day in the future, that's why I believe that snowmobile trails will be turned into UTV trails.
Yeah, that's no.
What's,
That's because you're on private property during the winter when it's not in use.
right.
It's gonna be, that ain't gonna work.
No,
One day I'm saying, it,
Farmers.
we got 200.
There's crops planted in
Right.
the fields.
they talk about using
mind.
the side, along the cropland
No,
and
I
stuff.
get that. I don't know what you're
Yeah.
saying.
And we are one of the few counties, that don't have this ordinance in the southeast Minnesota. So, I mean, we're the area that doesn't have it.
Well,
So you want to move forward with our,
Commissioner Schultz, you have anything to add?
Covered it.
Okay, so we'll move forward with a public hearing on the 17th during the regular meeting. Is that fine? Yep.
Do you want to wait,
or the next week?
What's that?
do you want to wait until Commissioner's under his back or no?
Oh, yes, that's right. So, can we push that back?
If you like.
On vacation, sorry.
24th?
24th
9:30.
Of which one?
at 9:30. Let's schedule it to 24th of June at 9:30.
Okay,
And then is your office going to notice it and take the questions?
yes. We can take a question and then also have it posted, about the notice. Do you have a preference where that is posted? Like, I think zoning had one posting at the auditor's office besides their office, I believe, and also the county website.
It should be in the official newspaper.
Yep. should be-
I checked with Argus and, they have no problem getting in.
Sounds like the date to do it then.
24th.
All right,
So the public hearing time could be 9:05 or 9:30, but we'll do it during the regular meeting.
yeah, let's make it 9:30.
Okay, so the notice is 9:30.
Yep.
Official motion on that?
Do we need a motion for that, Eric?
No, this is just a discussion and I don't think we need the motion to move forward to have a public hearing, do we? I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Okay. All right,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to number 6, consider reviewing and approving payments. Everybody's had a chance to look at those. Are any questions?
For me.
Is there a motion to approve payments?
I make a motion to approve the payments.
Is there a second?
So move.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. All right, on to discussion items, administrator updates. Carol, do you have anything?
Oh, just that I was reading through the legislative update this morning on what they didn't accomplish, so
Yeah.
we had a special session and some of the proposals are kind of scary for,
The cost shifts from the state to the counties is tremendous.
still, still a big gap on the cutting CPA
That's what we're
program
saying.
aid. Cut that too much.
Yeah, right now we receive like 1 million, don't we, it's like, yeah, it's quite a bit more. So, I mean, yeah, I've been following that a little bit too, and I saw that email, but I didn't get a chance to read it, but they're at a stalemate right now, so.
We had the department head meeting yesterday, so went through Greg will report on that.
Anything else? Nope. Okay. My updates, I had a River Watershed, one plan meeting yesterday at Preston. Our main topic of discussion was we're coming on our 10-year update and amendment to the plan. Come up with a new plan, another 10-year plan, and we went ahead and went with Houston Engineering to come up with that plan. The first plan was real thick, huge, broad, it covered a lot of stuff. This 10-year plan's gonna be more concise, pared down to specific projects and goals. And Bowser offered to pay for $75,000 to pay, it was $86,000 to do this through Houston Engineering, and Bowser offered to pay $75,000 of it with a grant to help cover that cost to get to more concise. It was a more of an expensive plan. The other plan was, option 2 was $44,000. But that would have required a lot of work from the staff, from all the county offices, soil and water, so they don't know if they could really tackle that, so this is the route we went with, so. That took up a lot of discussion. We covered a lot of bases on that stuff, so. And this is in 2026 when the new plan is up. And it'll take a year to come up with the new 10-year plan, so hopefully we'll have it done in a timeline where we get it done for next time, so. I guess I don't probably think of stuff afterwards, but, so today, we're gonna meet after the meeting to go to Able, is that? Okay. To look at the Able building. Carol, are you coming? This Thursday night, we have a planning commission meeting. We'll have a public hearing on the solar ordinance to discuss that. And then we have 3 CUPs to consider, so that's coming up this Thursday night. That's all I got. Commissioner Wright?
Yeah, sure. One of the highlights that are something that I want to highlight is that WinLAC meeting that I was at last week. There's a lot of projects that are going on, of course, that are, more conservation focused. And one thing that I will bring forward once they have it developed is this, they have grassed waterways in the projects that they've been working on. So in farmland areas where they do have like a major erosion and almost a hazard for cattle or whatever is going in there, they're actually working on projects and getting some funding for initiatives that cover that and restore that back up to a safe level. And it's pretty amazing to see some of those areas. They've been working in a Whitewater area on a few of these grassed waterways, but some of those initiatives, I think, it's great to know what's going on in the surrounding counties with that partnership with WinLAC. And then also, we discussed some of the other funding cuts, because the state cuts affect them as well, with a lot of their initiatives. Some of the areas that we have are funded by state and federal workers, students, interns, and also just some of the other groups like Green Corps, and their contracts have ended. So everybody's kind of scrambling to figure out, how can they make up for some of those areas in those projects. And so it's always good to stay in touch with DNR, and because of the discussions that we have for our improvement projects in the area. Other than that, I had strategic planning for Hiawatha Valley Mental Health Group, and there's some good things coming there. It's amazing how much that program offers in the local communities, and that continues to grow. And the need is definitely there. Let's see what else. That we had the department head meeting. One of the things that, we will probably need to discuss is once we look at if there's an alternative building site to lease, IT concerns that was brought up during that, as far as, infrastructure needs within a setting if we change something. So that's one of the areas. I'll let Commissioner Myrie highlight anything else that he might want to from that meeting.
Did a good
including his-
job.
The 911 call, yeah, but anyway, there's several items that were discussed, and it's always very good to find out exactly what's, going on within the departments.
Yeah, you mentioned the WinLAC thing, and that's what River Watershed wants to do, is have something kind of like what they have for their plan, because their plan was done afterwards, which more specific to projects like the grass waterway thing. And that's what they want to do with this, is they want to get it so it's more precise, and
Yeah.
they
it's
use that
important.
as a model as to
CJC.
how they want it to look like. So
Put down CJC.
Yeah, it's amazing, because, if, it's great to do this as a collaborative, rather than have counties do all this,
Yeah.
individually, so, so that's a part of that.
Commissioner Zender,
How are you?
good, how are you?
Not bad, thank you. We met with Brian, I guess CJC, whatever you wanna call it.
Oh, okay.
Went over that, a little bit with going on at the sheriff's office, Bob and I did, and then we also, were pretty in-depth on the ordinance. So,
Okay,
which obviously got brought today.
yep.
So at some point, we're gonna meet with the rest of Dale and all that stuff. That should be coming up fairly soon, I think, is what we talked about.
So
So,
at our work group session, we discussed the possibility of being full-time juvenile.
correct.
I've been thinking about that, and he brought up the fact that we'd have to hire more staff to do that.
We'd have to look at the state guide minimum on that, and then talk to the jail administrator on what the staffing levels are, and that was on our list
Things,
for the
questions.
next
our-
go around. We had kind of
Okay.
a full plate the way it was, but
All
yeah,
right.
there were some of the same concerns that
Yep.
we were bouncing back and forth, so
I did,
more to come.
reach out to a couple police officers elsewhere and their thoughts on it from different counties, 2 different counties. And they got kind of excited about that. Like, because it just, there is no place like that down here. If the numbers will work out, I believe it'll be very lucrative.
Can we get by?
It's unfortunate there has to be a need for it.
Exactly.
Yep, you're 100% right there. It is very unfortunate that, but if you look at the trends that are going on, and we're just discussing it. My daughter's college last night just had a murder-suicide in the building next to hers. So pretty scary for,
Yep.
I got a kid goes to school there, it's pretty nerve wracking, to be honest.
What you were talking about there, Eric, too, I think we have to kind of look at just like we did with the 8-day temporary hold, you know, how much is out there, what other facilities are out there, and I think you'll be surprised how little the long care and how far away they are.
Well, I can believe that. I can believe all that, yeah.
So there's a lot of variables we have to.
Well, some gotta have 2-to-1 and 3-to-1 on some people.
Well, and
What they're- I suppose, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot of formulas.
I know John talks a lot about this, and we've discussed this with his department and stuff. We are in a huge mental health crisis. I mean, if not nationwide, maybe, and I won't speak for the world, but I mean, it just seems everything we're dealing with lately, from this side of the fence, it has something to do with mental health, and it is frustrating how our increase in drug use and the fentanyls and the methamphetamines, and now we're seeing an uptick again in cocaine, so on and so forth. It is really, really frustrating as a law enforcement, and I'm sure for the jail too, how much those drugs and the things that are in them are creating our mental health, and it's just exploding. And unfortunately, it is to the point where you have to have a place for these
Individuals.
young individuals. I mean, it makes me sick to my stomach. It really does. So if we're the foremost, community to go out and go do this, the biggest thing that I've heard is people saying, well, then we got all these juveniles that do bad things and now they're gonna be walking around our streets in town here. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Okay, no juvenile is gonna get let out of jail like an adult just to fend for themselves in our community.
And they probably want to get
It
as far
legitimately
away,
is not gonna happen.
and they want to get as far away from where they
Why
were
would you wanna
incarcerated
guess?
as.
And they could be coming from Red Lake,
Yeah.
you know, way up north. We don't know. But that being said, it's worth putting the time and effort into it. And Bob and I and the rest of the CJC group, when we get everybody together, we'll be able to dig into it deeper and get the information we need to bring. I mean, it's a big decision, so, that being said, if it's, you know, something we went with and we had to put more employees on, well, if the system itself pays for that and it's no more cost to anybody here, and it's a revenue builder for Houston County, then so be it.
Just to comment quickly, along with that, when you're talking about it, even though it might involve hiring more staff and there might be more expense, there's also some less expense of, like, when talking to the county attorney's office, they have a lot of expense when they have to deal with cases that are not local. And they might be, those juveniles might be in an area that's quite a ways away, that they have to travel to, that they have to communicate with. So there's some cost effectiveness there as well.
Only other thing I was gonna ask is I needed a clarification. Next week, we have the, health meeting coming up as a group in Mabel, correct?
Joint Board of Health
Joint Board of
after
Health, and that is on Tuesday or Wednesday
Tuesday afternoon
at 1:00.
at 1:00.
Okay, cause I think I had an email that said Wednesday, and I wanted to make sure we're on the same sheet of music,
No,
so
it should,
Tuesday.
it should be
Perfect.
Tuesdays.
Same day as this.
Good, perfect. All right, thank you. I have nothing else.
Commissioner Schultz.
We kind of bounced just about all the topics around here. Other than that, I did get another phone call on, quite adamantly upset over that Crescent, ordinance is being different, yeah, with this house setback on the horse track, property. I don't think I was able to answer the person in a way that they wanted to accept.
The
so.
city's, it's a city issue right now.
Right, so I don't know how we work something better through our zoning office when they call and complain rather than call your commissioner, but yeah.
I would
interesting
because
because-
redirect them to the city and have them.
Yep, that's what
And
I
I'm
did.
sure they've probably talked to the city and they're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, I've talked to some of the city officials and they haven't gotten a lot of phone calls. And I said, well, we certainly have. And
Yeah,
it's not, people
Because
look
it's a
at it
county
because
road.
they think it's a county issue. However, there's also, state legislators that have been contacted that say that the county should supersede the city. So it's,
Right.
it's quite involved, but it unfortunately should have been done before that home was built. You know, and it's not the local people around that I've been getting calls from.
Probably the same person calling their people calling me. Other than that, on the solid waste board, we're still working on their updated plan. We got another meeting coming up in, the middle of June here, so.
I just remembered, I got a phone call this morning from Al Christian from the Snow Gophers Club. And did you go to that meeting?
I did, that other one that they invited
This is
me.
involving the snowmobile trail.
Right, it's involving snowmobile trails and the grant and aid, and the DNR has separate divisions on everything, and this was strictly the mapping division that wanted to review their maps and their funding on that, so they did not want to discuss, the
Really?
road right away, correct? But from what I received out of Larry Meyer from La Crescent Club is that, they are working with Goodhue County's, draft ordinance that sounds like the state is, possibly an acceptance of, and then other counties are probably gonna shirt tail off of that or try to.
That's what Al was referring to, that I think he talked to Polly and Polly mentioned that we were gonna have the discussion at our district meeting. But he's saying that we could adopt a resolution as a county, similar to like what you have with private landowners. And that would suffice if the DNR to release the rest of the funds. I don't know if this is the case or not, but
Then the only funds that are in jeopardy are the mileage that's within the
state
road,
roads.
roadway.
Right. And according to him, that this would be sufficient enough for the DOT and the DNR to release the remainder of the funds if we were to adopt this resolution, but it would have to go through the county attorney's office to come up with a resolution. And we need to look at what Goodhue's doing too, so maybe it's kind of similar to that, I'm sure, so.
Right, and from what you said, they're the same as what I heard, and that, they're gonna try and base it off of that, and then
Okay.
maybe it'd be for this whole region, having the same form document, so the DNR is on the same page with every county.
Yep.
Was my understanding.
Well, I just told him that we would look into that and keep him informed of what's progressing and what will be discussed at the district meeting, so.
I'm gonna try and attend their meetings as well, so
Yep. Okay,
busy with that too.
yep. Commissioner Myrie.
We had a department head meeting yesterday, I had a few things I got answered, the other day on the Larry farm out here, they had a fire. Dispatchers or something, it went to Genoa and then back to Caledonia. And I was just asking why, and now I got my answer. That's because if you call it in on a cell phone and you got a 608, goes to Wisconsin Tower. Like my phone, if I'd have called it in, mine's 319, so that would have went to an Iowa tower and then back to Caledonia, probably.
It could unless it was unable to connect with that tower, but typically you're 100% right.
Well, that was the answer I got, and I guess that's the reason that they went to Genoa.
It also depends on, even with a 507, if I'm in La Crosse and Liddell 911, there's a good chance that La Crosse is gonna pick it up.
It does, yep. I've talked to somebody that had the same experience.
So it tries to get you to the closest, but sometimes it will skip.
Well,
We
some of
have
the,
some areas in our county, if you don't know, that are very, very tough on cell phones.
well, my way.
Saying,
It sounds like it was pretty instantaneous, though it didn't
It
create
was a
delay.
20-second delay just to transfer, it wasn't huge.
Well, it's no big deal. I just was wondering why, and
I know people get they call in and say, why am I getting Wisconsin? I want Houston County, yeah.
Well, one of the firemen asked, why didn't it go right to Caledonia? And I said, I don't know, but I'll ask, And now I got my answer, so
Yep.
no big deal. And then one other thing we brought up with John was maybe doing these Fillmore County things on Zoom. Be a lot easier.
Joint Department of Health.
Yep, do that on Zoom. And because a lot of times on a Tuesday, we're done at 11 o'clock. Bob's gotta run home, let his dogs out, so does Cindy. Then we gotta go from La Crescent back up to
Do mine.
Mabel. I mean, it's a lot of running around.
Well, maybe you guys could work together and take these dogs out.
I just told him.
It's the same. the
Hopefully
same
it's
thing
Bob.
like for myself. I'm done at 11 o'clock, but well, I should be out with my customers and I gotta wait and go up there at 1 o'clock. It just screws my day up. If I had it on Zoom, I could do it on my phone.
Statutorily, is that okay, John, if we could do that?
I believe it is, and in fact, I asked Jordan to put it on the agenda to discuss, because that meeting's coming up.
Next week.
And the November meeting is Zoom, generally. It's offered at Zoom,
Well, the last
right?
couple of years it
Yeah.
has been because there's, conflict with
Right,
that.
right. So it's been done. Mhm.
Sometimes it's nice to get together and just talk with other counties too, personally.
It wouldn't have to be all Zoom.
It would, yeah, we could do like 2 meetings. Zoom.
Optional,
You could go in person or you could connect via.
That's
Zoom.
true, that's true, yeah.
optional.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Yep, that's right, that's true. Anything else, Greg?
Yeah, I had a farmer call, or a landowner over by Spring Grove on Stratford Drive. There's, you got a hearing on, some building site next door to this guy, and they surveyed, and they're 47 feet on his land.
We talked to the zoning office
I
with that?
called Amelia and told her what's going on, and him and Amelia are trying to work this out, but there's the old fence line that's been there for 60-some years, and there's buildings alongside that fence line that these people built 60 years ago. Now this guy is trying to take 47 feet of his land. And I don't think it's a telephone company, because why would you run your telephone? If you're building a house, why would you run your telephone across somebody else's property? So I don't think it's a telephone line. I don't know all the statistics, but you'll find out Thursday night, because he's. And he can't believe you can give that guy a permit when he's trying to steal his land.
Have to work.
We
it.
don't know if the details. of
I don't
that.
know the details. That's why. Good luck.
Yeah. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Let's just move to closing public comment. Is there anybody that would like a closing public comment?
Questions.
Sure.
One is about if you go to all juvenile, I was here for a meeting where the Historical Society was gonna buy the old jail, possibly like somewhere in Iowa did. And Brian said, Sheriff Swedberg said that you would need that for juvenile recreation if you went all juvenile.
Turns out we don't need that. We have enough space between the new jail and old jail for that open space.
Recreational, isn't that what you want?
I hadn't seen anything, or I might have missed it about it.
Yep. Yep.
That. The other question I have relates to cannabis applicants. So the window closed March 16th for the latest round for the lottery, and the current Office of Cannabis Management has 23 applicants from Houston County. I don't know when the lottery will be done and it will all move forward, but I was trying to get caught up on if you were limiting in the county. And one of the things that stipulates by statute is one business can only have 3 retail places in a county. So for example, Quick Trip has all of them, Spring Grove, La Crescent. I don't know if those are independently owned and operated, but I just wanted to get an update on cannabis in Houston County and where we landed after.
We passed an ordinance last day of 2024, December 31st.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then there's one thing that you refresh my memory on this, but we need to establish a fee for registration. So we need to have that on our fee schedule for registration of these businesses when they apply. I don't know if, Polly and Amelia, have you talked to Carol about?
Pretty much ready.
Okay. Yeah, we better get that going so we have that established, so when people apply, they can be established to get it going, so. All right. Anything else? All right, do we have a motion to go into closed session? Is
I'll move.
there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. At 10:33, Greg made a motion to come back into closed session, and Bob seconded it.
Come out of closed session,
Did that, okay, that's what I meant to say.
right?
We eventually agreed.
We voted for it, yeah. We just had further in the labor negotiations, nothing was finalized. All right, anything else?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Yep, so,
Is it still raining?
is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I did.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
And Greg made it.